There we go. I'm going to mute that so I don't have competing sounds here. Get that coming up. There we go. Just give it a couple minutes, see if anybody joins. Let me get repositioned here, and my pants can stop getting all twisted up. Oh, come on, leg, work. Okay, this thing is not... What in the world? There we go. Now I got it. Gotta move the camera a little. I keep kicking it. I try to get positioned here. Whew. Sorry, I got a bum leg and it does not like to work. Sometimes I have to fight with myself just to move. But, so. How's everybody's week been? I see a few people in here. I've been feeling better this week. I was sick after last week and everything, but yeah, but still working on the attraction. I heard from Branson, and apparently there was some misunderstanding there between all of that, and they're not interested right now, unfortunately. Maybe come back to it in the future, but right now it's not really a thing. Of course, being the weekend, it's hard to get a hold of anybody, so. But I'm just it's just I said still working on trying to move or get things so I can move around here. Got applications going out for places. Excuse me. So just trying to find housing sometimes is worse than trying to find a job. All the applications and got, all these rules you gotta follow, and it's ridiculous. That's one reason why I really can't wait for the attraction to take off and everything, so I can get into a better position and just have a whole better thing going on. Fire truck. But yeah, it's still so much to do with the attraction, though. So I'm working on trying to see about who or what, where I could go through, get some financing to get the place going faster. Supposed to go to a festival, but it was rain. We got rain come through here yesterday. It's cooled it way down. I got my little space heaters going, trying to keep the place warm. It's comfy. It's not bad in here, but it's comfy. Yeah. We don't really have too many of those little festivals, like those Renaissance festivals and stuff. There's one here where I'm at that comes in about maybe once a year. But I've never really been to it. I wanted to. There's been a couple years I've wanted to go, but I've not had the ability. I've tied up doing something else, or just didn't have the money at the time, or something. But and we don't really have too much in the way of that kind of stuff. You know. Yes. Yes. Yeah, the Renaissance. Yeah, Renaissance. There's a lot. I'm dyslexic. I have dyslexia real bad, and there's a lot of things I have a hard time spelling. One of my, I think probably the two worst words I have, and they're actually very easy words, is the words with and other. I always want to add an E at the end of them for some reason. Every single time I write them. Dyslexia sucks. Yeah, when I was going to class here at the Excel Center, where I'm at, it's a like an adult high school for people who have dropped out of school or need to go back to school to get some like special class for like work training or something. And when I started there, when they very first opened, they had this, they have your little test you got to take when you enroll to see for your placement. And, there was a math test, which I flew right through the high school level math test, and they ended up giving me a college level math test that I flew right through as well. And I got put into, basically, you might as well say, AP math, accelerated math classes. I kept telling them, just because I can do it doesn't mean I want to. I just want the credits so I can graduate. Nope, they had to keep putting me in the advanced classes. God, like, damn people, I don't want all this. I just want to get it done. But they gave a writing test as well. And when I did the writing test, you had to write a little, like, one-page essay on whatever you wanted. And mine originally got me put into beginner's writing. And then I was in beginner's writing for not even a full week when they finally realized, yeah, I don't have a problem with writing and grammar, and it's just my dyslexia screws me up really bad. And so they moved me out of beginner's writing into contemporary literature. And again, I was like, just because I can do the class doesn't mean I want to. I just want the credits. Nope. Even my very last class I had before I got sick again, I was in advanced algebra class. And I was like, jeez. Which, of course, I passed the class, I passed all my classes. Like I said, I know the material. I know how to do it all. I wish they would just let me have the credit so I could graduate. But they don't do it that way. Yeah, like I said, they moved me from beginner's writing to contemporary literature, and I did okay in contemporary literature. I've never been a huge fan of reading. I mean, I like books, don't get me wrong. I've got tons of books around here, but, it takes a special kind of book for me to want to actually read it. Now, like Dan Brown in the Langdon series, Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, so forth. I've got all of those books, and I've read those as well. Those kind of books I like. Of course, the Harry Potter books. I love the Harry Potter books. I've got all 7 Harry Potter books, all 8 Harry Potter films. I've even got the Fantastic Beast book, the novel book, as well as the school book. I've got the History of Quidditch school book. I've got the Tales of Beetle the Bard book. I've got all kinds of stuff. But I remember in contemporary lit, I did my final for the class on Stephen King, because he's another author that I absolutely love, is Stephen King. Which I've got a huge collection of his stuff right up here in the DVD series. I've got it. I've got Carrie, Misery, Green Mile. Uh, I don't even. I think I've got The Shining. I think. I don't know. I've got several of his. I love Stephen King. On top of that, my SD card is blocked, and I lost it on. Sucks when you lose stuff you need. Always hate that. I always wish it was like on Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge on Disney Channel. Some of my favorite Disney movies. Anything that's lost in the Halloween Town or in the Mortal World all ends up at Gort's house. That was always so fun to me. He was just the junk man of the universe. Of course, unless it got lost at Gort's house, in which case it just, poof, disappeared. I always loved those movies. I actually wrote a fifth Halloween Town book called Goodbye Halloween Town. And now, I don't know if anybody watching now or later after this is already aired liked Halloween Town, as much as, because I absolutely loved Halloween Town growing up. I really wish they would have kept Kimberly J. Brown on for the fourth film instead of recasting her, but whatever. But if, and you can, like I said, people can, even after this live has been aired, even after it's done, and if you're rewatching this in the future, at a future date, you can leave a comment below if you want to or not. But I might, if enough people want me to, I might come on here live Halloween night and read my entire Halloween Town book. I might read the whole 10 chapters. He pays tribute to all 4 films, plus Grandma Aggie, all of it. But I would go live on TikTok and do it, but I don't have enough subs on TikTok. My main TikTok, which is under my normal name, William Meyer, is a little over 100 away. I'm close. I'm not too far away. But my Titanic channel is a long ways away, which sucks, because I was hoping to see how close I could get to that 1,000 threshold for lives on TikTok by my birthday. But with my birthday just being Tuesday, I know I'm not going to reach on any of my channels. I got 3 TikToks, and I know that none of them are going to get to 1,000 by Tuesday. Because, yeah, like I said, just Tuesday is my birthday, Wednesday is my mother's birthday, and then Thursday I've got court over stuff with where I live right now. But, yeah, it's going to be a busy week. At least I'm not in the hospital like I was last year. I was in the hospital on my birthday last year, so. Yeah, so. At least that part's better. So, the Raise the Titanic book version. Yeah, I've actually got, there's actually 2. Clive Cussler actually wrote 2 Titanic books. There's actually a sequel book to Raise the Titanic, which, not really a sequel, it's more of a prequel book. It kind of delves, it kind of which I've actually got both books. And I actually started at one point. It's probably buried in my Google Docs somewhere. I'd have to find it again and restart it. It could be a fun little project to restart. But I was actually writing a kind of a reboot, a remake of the Raise the Titanic film, which would have seen a kind of a mashup of the two books being brought together into a single script, where you have like you'll have like a little prologue that covers kind of the events of the first book, and then there would be a time jump into the actual movie of Raise the Titanic, where Dirk Pitt goes out looking for the Titanic, raises it, all of that. I even actually designed an entirely brand new Raise the Titanic model that was a combination of the book description, the real wreck Titanic, and the original film version. Kind of took those three styles and formed them all into one idea. Good day. Clear Vision. Interesting name there. That's an interesting name, Clear Vision. How are you doing? But yeah, I've built the model before I did have a 1/350 scale version of it, I think. And I do have one of the Trumpeter 1/200 scales that I was working on building into that model, but I never actually got around to finishing it. I've since kind of lost interest in model building. I've tried thought that maybe, I was just tired of Titanic builds, and so I tried to go to like Star Trek builds, and that didn't do it. I just got tired of building. Like I said, I've changed over mostly to like Lego. Like these are off-brand, but Technic Nerf guns that actually fire darts. And this is a second one that I bought. I've actually got two of these now, so you can actually, hold one in each hand. But they actually cock and shoot. They're fun. I'm going to redo them, though. And I'm going to get rid of all this. And I've got Dom's charger set down here that I'm working on changing over to a General Lee. So I'm going to be using a lot of these orange pieces like this for the body. So all the black that's on the charger body now will be coming off and be getting changed to these kind of orange pieces. And then with all those black panels I'll have left, I'm going to trade them out, and I'm going to take at least one of these guns, maybe both if I have enough parts. But I'm going to take all these pieces off and turn this into a black, gun. Something that looks a little better than these weird colors. But those are a couple of my build ideas that I want to do. But have I tried painting? Aside from painting the models, obviously, I don't got any workspace to set up to do painting right now, but I have painted before. I got one piece I did several years ago. Was an acrylic on canvas. I called it Out of the Darkness. And it was a silhouette of the bow of the Titanic wreck draped in this like purple dark, like this purple glow of like the deep ocean and everything. That was one of my favorite paintings I think I've done. You know, I grew up with Bob Ross and the wet on wet technique that he always did, and so I've done one or two Bob Ross style paintings with the landscapes and the mountains. Those were okay, but yeah, the Out of the Darkness, I think, was, like I said, is one of my more favorite ones that I've done, and it's in storage somewhere right now, I think. But yeah, yeah, I said I've painted, I've sculpted, you know, you name an art medium, I've pretty much done it all, at least tried it all. Yeah, yeah, Bob Ross passed away several years ago now. I always loved his stuff. You can still watch it on YouTube and everything. They've got a whole YouTube channel with all of his videos that you can go watch them. I've I did a little. I did pottery in school a little bit when we would do that in class. I've I made an ashtray. My mother smokes, and so I made an ashtray for her when I was in school. I did I did a little. I don't know who it was supposed to be, but a little bust of some of a little guy with like dreadlocks, a little like long, hair and stuff, and I I've pottery was never one for me because I've never really been one to get my hands like physically dirty. You know, like I never liked playing in the mud as a kid. My mother even tried to pay my cousins to get me to go play in the mud. Not it. It never worked. I never liked to have my hands dirty. Now I could work on a car. I could work on a car all day long, and that don't bother me. I'll get grease all over me doing that. But I don't know, something about just mud and dirt and stuff never was never my thing. Yeah, I know. Especially being a kid growing up in the 90s, you would back before internet, all this stuff, we had nothing but outside. So you would think mud would be no problem, but not for me, apparently. I didn't like it. I don't know. But which Great Lake ship would you want to see made into a book series? I don't know about the Great Lake ships. I know back when I was still doing the models, I wanted one of the models I really wanted to do was an Edmund Fitzgerald model. I I had looked forever trying to find me a model of the Edmund Fitzgerald that I could turn into a wreck model, and they were very hard to find, and the few that I did find were outrageously expensive. Just, they were usually mostly like resin 3D print models and stuff, or metal, like die cast, and it was just, they were several $100s a piece just for, and most of them only went to like the waterline. They weren't even the full ship. And it was a pain in the ass trying to find one of those models. I never found one. Do I drive now? No, I don't. I don't have a car. I haven't. Honestly, I've not driven in close to 5 years, maybe. My health, my health don't won't basically won't let me drive. I mean, I probably could in an absolute emergency if I had to, but my doctors pretty much said that I'm not supposed to drive anymore, which I absolutely hate. I'm not, like I said, I'm not the type of person just to sit back and do nothing. If I want to go somewhere, I want to go somewhere. I want to do something, you know. That's why I'm fighting with, my doctors are trying to help me get a power chair so I can get out and go do stuff. But, there's a big fight with that right now with the state. I said one of the things is because as I said, I'm trying to move. And so I'm trying to, because where I'm at now, even if I had a power chair, I just really know where I could go. I might be able to go up a door or two. I got my uncle lives in the same park that I do. I could go to his house maybe, or go next door to the grocery store, to a small grocery store. But to actually go into town, I can't do that here because this town's just way too large. Columbia is way too big. There's 150,000 people when college is in, or actually probably when college is out. It's probably closer to 200 to 250,000 when college is in, because you've got Mizzou, the University of Missouri, Mizzou, Columbia College, Stevens College. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 colleges here in town, and I love to go everywhere. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move back to Fulton, where I'm actually from, where I grew up. My mother's in a nursing home over there, and and if I can move over there and get a power chair, then I can go anywhere. Fulton is 20,000 people when the college is in. They got 2 colleges, Westminster and William Woods. And I said when both colleges are in, there's maybe 20,000 people. It's a fairly small town. And like I said, if I can get over there and get me a power chair, I can go wherever I want. I've done it before. I can go wherever I want in Fulton in a power chair. It's not a problem. It's small enough. But Columbia is just way too large right now. Where did I study? Well, regular public school, I went to school over in Fulton and everything, but, I had to drop out because of my health, because Fulton was not accommodating for disabled people when I was in school. And I think they've upgraded it now, because I know the high school up there went under a major renovation a few years ago. Because I know actually a friend of mine because Fulton's got a very large deaf population, because they've got the state deaf school. So I grew up with deaf people, and, and I know sign language, and everything. I got deaf friends and family. And some of my deaf friends actually sued the Fulton public school system because they were not accommodating to their kids. And yeah, when I went to school, my locker was at the front of the building, but all my classes were at the back of the building. And that was when my mobility and my health really started first decline. And so, I just basically kept everything I had in my backpack and just took it with me. I never even used my locker. We had one girl who, she had like cerebral palsy or something like that. She had to use a walker. And some of our classes, there was a split level in the middle of the building where you could go down half a level or up half a level. And so you had like 2 floors, but they were like offset by half a level. And some of our classes were downstairs in the bottom. And even she would have to go down the stairs because they had no elevator for people in the high school, for disabled people at all. They were not accommodating at all. And yeah, so I ended up having to, like I said, drop out because of my health. and everything. And I tried going back. They have a place here in Columbia called the Excel Center, which is from Goodwill, runs it. It's an adult high school for people who had to drop out. And I tried going back to class over there a few times. I signed up when they first opened, and I did that up until COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, they shut down for a while. And I've tried going back since they reopened, but I go for a while and then I get sick and have to stop again. And it's been a pain in the ass trying to. So I've said screw it. If I could figure out how to get my GED, I just would, but I ain't got the money. Fulton or Missouri raised the prices on those several years ago, back in 2011, 2012. It went from like $40 to like $140 instantly. I mean, just ridiculous. And I'm sure it's even gone up even more since then. But yeah, I've been through a lot. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't try to hide it, but I don't give up. I've never been one just to sit back and just let it take over. What would I like to study? Titanic. Titanic's the only thing that's never screwed me over in life. That's the only thing that's ever been there through it all. I was engaged to be married once. The girl that I was engaged to was one of the very few girls that I've known since I was a kid, grew up with her, that she knew all of my health problems. She knew everything, and she didn't care. She still liked me for me. But even she ended up leaving me in the end. Didn't work out. She's, I think, married, got a couple kids now of her own. Happy for her. But, Titanic's the only thing that's ever actually been there and didn't screw me over. So, you're a nice guy. Thanks, man. I try to be as nice as I can. Sometimes people really mess with that one, though. Yeah. Oh, trust me. You get me mad enough, the nice guy disappears. But I think we can all be like that, though. I think a lot of us can have that side that you get pushed far enough, it just kind of breaks. But, yeah. How would you start writing the Raise the Edmund Fitzgerald book? A Raise the Fitzgerald book. That would be an interesting one. You have to do a lot of research first, kind of get the backstory of how it sank, what happened, go through that whole narrative, and then you'd have to, of course, create the plot points of why you want to raise the ship. Like with Raise the Titanic, Clive put in there, had a fictionalized cargo that was inside the ship that they wanted to raise, and the easiest way was to raise the entire ship. Then, of course, you got to work out, the Edmund split in half. You got half of the ship sitting upright in one spot, the other half is upside down in the other area, so you got to work that part out. And then, of course, the weather out on the Great Lakes can get very crazy, so that could be a good plot point for the book. Big storms messing them up, something. So, do you have a faith? Like, religiously speaking, I consider myself more agnostic. Like, I believe in good and evil, light and dark, unseen forces, I don't necessarily believe in the biblical sense of God and heaven and hell and all of that, but I do believe there's something. I believe we create our own heaven and hell. You know, I I believe if you believe in the biblical form, then that's what you would get. If you believe in the Jewish form, that's what you would get. If you believed in the ancient Egyptian forms of the afterlife, that's what you would get. You know, you know. But, I've seen way too much to know to be like full atheist. I know there's stuff out there. I know there's unseen forces that, you know, I know reincarnation is real. I know my past life, who I was, what I did. Uh, you know, I've had many of my own personal first-hand encounters with the paranormal to know that yes, there's something there. I've had stuff thrown at me. I've been scratched. You name it. I've seen the full-bodied apparitions. All of it. So I know there's I've even written a paper on the paranormal and what exactly a ghost is. Our our bodies are electrical energy. Our hearts are electrical. If our hearts get out of rhythm or stops beating, they use electrical energy to get it back into sync, to get it beating again. Pacemakers, which keep hearts in proper rhythm, use electrical energy. Our brains fire electrical neurons to tell our bodies what to do. And of course, one of the very first rule of thermodynamics is you cannot create or destroy energy. And if you look at the vast majority of hauntings, they always come from a place of traumatic events, murders, fires, suicides, whatever. They're always something very traumatic because in that final moment, your brain is over firing on neuron. The electrical energy is overstimulated, it's over firing. You essentially supercharge your electrical energy of your body. And when the physical form stops, that electrical energy has nowhere to go. You cannot just destroy that electrical energy. And that electrical energy is your spirit. That is what a ghost, that's why they interact with electrical devices. Why they give off EM fields, electromagnetic fields. They can drain batteries. They can tune into the electrical wave of a certain person and drain the energy out of that person to feed off of that energy. They feed on energy the way we feed on food and water and everything. And if they don't get that electrical energy, then the energy, that built up spiritual energy, that electrical energy, can eventually dissipate until they cease to exist permanently, or as some would call it, crossing over. I've written an entire paper on the explanations behind the human soul and the different types of hauntings and how all of that coincides. That's an... Let's see, what's this one? Let's see, this one. I would take the rare element. And the only problem with, like, for an Edmund Fitzgerald, going back to your Edmund Fitzgerald idea there for a minute, taking the elemental plot point from Clive Cussler's book, that's kind of a copyrighted thing. You wouldn't be able to use that in a different story unless you got permission from Cussler's estate to do so, which I doubt they would really give over. So you'd probably have to just create your own idea, your own little plot point. Put Fitzgerald, was a cargo ship basically. I mean, not like commercial cargo, but it could, instead of carrying, was it like coal or something, I think. I forget exactly what it carried. You could, have it carrying like a ton of gold. Like maybe it had all the gold out of Fort Knox. Fort Knox, I swear, I firmly believe 100% that Fort Knox is empty. That there is nothing in Fort Knox. And maybe you could have it. That's what was on the Fitzgerald, was the gold out of Fort Knox and everything. Trying to get repositioned here, but yeah, they. Is that the one that snapped? Yeah, the Edmund Fitzgerald. Yeah, half of it's sitting upright, and the other half's kind of upside down. They're kind of like apart like this a little ways. It killed, was it like 29 people? Took them down with them. One of the Great Lakes. I want to say Lake Michigan, but I don't remember. It's like really, really deep down there. It took them a while to find it because the lake's so deep. I said I always wanted to make a wreck model of that ship, but I could never find a model that would actually do it, unfortunately. Yeah. And from what I understand, there's some of the people, when they finally found the wreck, their bodies were still in there, because being extremely icy cold fresh water, it preserved their bodies, where at the conditions at the Titanic wreck site didn't preserve any bodies. That's why you will never find bodies at Titanic, is because the salt water is far more corrosive than fresh water. And of course, of course, with sea life and everything, I did a video here on YouTube years ago. I think it was one of the many videos I took down when I started to rework my channel. But I did a video on what happens to the human body at the Titanic, at a depth like the Titanic wreck. And, reconnect, there we go. Phone trying to call. Yeah, I'll call back later. Just trying to do stuff here. But yeah, because like I said, the bodies themselves wouldn't even make it to the bottom intact, unfortunately. It's kind of disturbing and a little graphic to think about what actually happens. But yeah, when at the Titanic site, as a body descends through that water column, that pressure gets way too great, way too fast. Within the first 1,000 feet, soft tissue is going to start peeling away. Air pockets inside the bodies, like the lungs and inside the stomach, and the intestines and the stomach, everything, as they descend down through that pressure is going to start, and eventually they will implode under the pressure. Bones, some of your weaker bones will begin to break and crush the deeper you go. As I said, the strongest bone in the human body, which is the femur, which in an average human male peaks out at a strength test just shy of where the actual PSI of the wreck site actually is. Femurs are pretty strong, actually. So, that's one reason why you see shoes. But if you look at the shoes, you always see that, they're not side by side, like a body came down to rest right there. They're always often like weird angles and stuff, in positions that a body could never land in. Because if there was a body in those shoes when it came down, then that body came apart. And several pairs of not I can't say most, but several pairs of shoes, upon further investigations into where they were found to have actually just been part of somebody's luggage that had been packed away. Either some knapsacks, some burlap bags that had rotted away, or some cheap leather suitcases that had cheap leather and wooden frames that rotted away. You know, there's, and it's like with the incident with the Titan submersible, unfortunately. They just here the other day said that they recovered essentially what was the rest of the sub, and that there was probably more human remains in it. And a lot of people are going to be thinking human remains like body parts, like full bodies, and unfortunately, no. If anything is found, it's going to be hair, maybe a piece of a bone or a little bit of tissue. You could probably get enough to do some DNA testing to identify who it came from, but you're not really going to get any substantial remains that would be able to be laid to rest properly. They will pretty much always have an empty grave when they get back home, which, like I said, is horrible to say. As I've said before in these videos, as much as I love the Titanic, and I've watched thousands of hours of dive footage over the years, I could never go down in a sub. I couldn't do that. I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm not afraid of the ocean. I'm not, I'm none of that. But just, I couldn't do it. My anxiety would get me way too bad to do it. I have a friend in the UK who went out. In the UK called. But yeah, listen, my anxiety, I could, which is was one of the things with when I was working on actually raising the bow section of the Titanic years ago, which, I created a 20 some different phase, I forget, 21, 22 different phase project that would have spanned just over 2 years, and at that time cost about $10 billion. It would be worth it, probably double that now. But one of the pieces of equipment I had lined up was the Triton subs. They have a sub design that can get to the Titanic, and they're made with this. Why she keeps calling, but they're made with this big glass dome, glass ball that you get this huge view up, and like all instead of this little bitty porthole, you get a huge view all the way around, and it's just what sets your anxiety off. Oh, it could be all kinds of things. I've had panic attacks. Just, there's just I get in moods every now and then where like I need to get out and go do something, and when I can't, it just I get my anxiety goes through the roof, and if I'm stuck in a sub and end up needing to get out and get some air, like I said, I'm not claustrophobic or nothing, but yeah, it's just. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and go because I keep getting phone calls here, and so I'm gonna see what they're wanting, and I will. I said I'm still working on some of the deck plans. I'm just down to G deck. I've got F deck done. I just got to put in a few of the smaller details, but I'm down to just doing G deck on the attraction, getting the detailed decks done and laid out the way I want them. But yeah, I'm getting that knocked out slowly. But I will. I said I'm gonna go for now. See what these people see what they're wanting, and I will hopefully be back next Saturday. And I said hopefully if I can get my TikToks up to 1,000. I said my main TikTok under my actual name is almost there. I'm just a little over 100 away. And, I'd love to be there by Tuesday, because I said Tuesday's my birthday, but I know that ain't going to happen. But we'll get there at some point. But if I could get there before Halloween, then on Halloween Live, either on TikTok or maybe here if people want it here instead, or if I don't get to the live on live status, I'll come here. I come here and I could maybe read on Halloween night my paper on what the human spirit is, or I could read my entire Halloween Town book, as I said. We could go over that stuff. But until next Saturday, I will see you all then. As I say every week, be sure to like and subscribe so you know when I go live, because I don't have a set time. It's just when I do. It's usually a little after 3 o'clock Central, but there's no set time. So like and subscribe so you get the notifications when I do. But I will see you all next week, and we'll find something else fun to discuss.